Okay, for this part we're going to be sticking to radiation, and we're going to be looking at some of the causes of background radiation, and then we're going to be looking at some of the actual uses of radiation. So firstly, the radiation around us every day is called background radiation. It comes from a variety of sources such as hospitals, nuclear weapons testing, or from nuclear power, including radiation released in accidents. However, most of it occurs naturally due to the breakdown of radioactive atoms within rocks. Less than 15% comes from man-made activities. Your exposure to radiation depends on where you live and, for example, the nature of your job. Different parts of the country have different levels of background radiation, and an airline pilot or someone working in a hospital can receive a higher dose than other people. So your background radiation then, you've got radon gas from rocks, produces about 50%, food and drink about 11%, ground and buildings about 14%, cosmic rays produce about 10%, medical uses produce about 14%, nuclear power less than 1% each. So there's some of the places you should know about. So what uses can we use radiation for? Well, first of all, you may remember we talked about the use of alpha radiation, which is used in smoke alarms. So when the smoke enters the alarm, it stops the alpha particles ionising the air. This leads to the drop in current and then the alarm sounds. As well as medical applications, radioactive tracers may be used to map out the path of underground pipes or to track how material is dispersed when it enters the water supply. Radiation can even be used to find blockages or cracks in pipes very deep underground. If you think about it, if you own a company that has got lots and lots of pipes supplying homes, for instance, and you find that the pressure goes down in those pipes, it means that you've got a leak somewhere. So you can either go through the process of digging up all the roads to find where all your pipes are and to test them all for leaks, or you can send gamma rays down the pipe which goes underground, and then you can have somebody walk along above the ground with a radiation detector, and as soon as they can actually detect that gamma radiation, they know that that's where the leak is, and so they can just dig down in that space and fix the pipe. So that's a really good use of radiation. As I said, smoke alarms use americium-241, which is an alpha emitter. Another thing that we use is something called carbon dating. Radioactive atoms within a substance decay with time, and this process can be used to determine the age of rocks or ancient materials using a method called radioactive dating. Scientists take careful measurements of the amount of carbon in ancient objects such as clothing, bones or wooden machinery, and this can be used to carbon date to precisely determine the age of the object. A similar technique is used to date rocks by studying the ratio of uranium atoms to lead atoms. As a rock ages, the uranium inside it decays, eventually ending up as lead. Over the time, the number of uranium atoms decreases as the number of lead atoms increases. The older the rock, the lower the ratio of uranium to lead. Now when it comes to carbon dating, the way that works is carbon dating relies on the amount of carbon-14 in the air not having changed for thousands of years. Carbon dating only works with organic material such as wood, cotton or bone. When an organism is living, it continuously absorbs more carbon-14 through biological processes such as gas exchange. However, when an organism dies, no new carbon-14 is absorbed, and so as the carbon-14 atoms decay, the amount found in the material drops. The amount of carbon-14 in the sample is compared to the amount found in living things to determine the age of the sample. So that's some of the uses of radiation, but don't forget you should know some of the examples of background radiation to talk about.